Welcome to Dear Fans. Luka Doncic stops at a cafe for a quiet coffee, but what happens next will change everything. The morning sun streamed through the tree-lined streets of downtown Dallas, casting warm golden hues over the city. A light breeze carried the scent of fresh pastries and roasted coffee from small cafes tucked into the bustling sidewalks. Among them was a quiet little shop called Cozy Brew, a family-owned cafe known for its comforting atmosphere and homemade apple pie. Luka Doncic had just finished an early workout and was craving something simple: coffee, maybe something sweet. He wasn't in his usual game day attire. Instead, he wore a checkered shirt, jeans, and a cap pulled low over his forehead. No security, no cameras, just a rare morning of peace. He wanted a moment away from the noise of the world, away from flashing lights and endless interviews. As he stepped inside, the soft chime of the CAF's bell rang overhead. Inside, the warm scent of a pred filled the air. The soft hum of jazz music played in the background, blending with quiet chatter from the few customers scattered around. No one seemed to recognize him. Exactly what he had hoped for. Luka made his way to a corner table near the window where sunlight painted soft shadows across the wooden surface. A young waitress approached with a friendly smile. "Good morning, what can I get for you today?" Luka smiled back. "Just a black coffee, and maybe a slice of apple pie, if you have any." "Coming right up," she said cheerfully before walking back to the counter. Luka leaned back, gazing out the window. It was a rare moment of stillness, a pause from the constant movement of his career. He had always loved basketball, but there were days when he wondered what would life be like without the fame, the expectations, the endless pressure. Could he just walk the streets, sit in a cafe, without anyone noticing? Maybe simplicity was the greatest luxury of all. As he took his first sip of coffee, the wooden door of the cafe swung open with a sharp creak. The peaceful moment was about to take an unexpected turn. A group of 5 men strode in, clad in black leather jackets and worn jeans. The scent of gasoline and cigarette smoke trailed behind them, cutting through the aroma of fresh coffee. They were loud, their voices filling the small cafe, drowning out the smooth jazz. Other customers stole nervous glances, but quickly looked away, avoiding eye contact. Luka didn't react. He took another slow sip of his coffee, his expression calm. He had seen this type of scene before: guys who wanted attention, who fed off of intimidation. He wasn't interested in trouble. The leader of the group, a tall man with a skull tattoo on his forearm, scanned the cafe before his gaze settled on Luka. A smirk played across his lips. Well, the man said, stepping forward, "Look at this, a lonely gentleman sipping coffee all by himself." Luka said nothing. The man chuckled and then walked up to his table, leaning in slightly. "Hey buddy, what's wrong?" Too shy to say hello still, Luka remained silent. He wasn't going to entertain whatever game this man was trying to play. The man's smirk widened. He reached over and picked up Luka's slice of pie, turning it in his hand as if inspecting it. "This what rich guys eat, looks pretty good." Luka calmly placed his coffee cup down, his blue eyes finally meeting the man's. His voice was steady, unshaking. "If you pick it up, you better eat it. But remember, it's not free." For a split second, the man hesitated. Then he let out a loud laugh, signaling his friends to join in. Their laughter echoed through the cafe, but there was something forced about it, something uneasy. Behind the counter, the waitress Anna watched with a pounding heart. She didn't know much about the man sitting at that table, but she could see that he was being harassed, and she wasn't the type to stand by and do nothing. Summoning her courage, she stepped forward. Her voice was firm, but her hands trembled slightly. "This is a cafe, not a place to cause trouble. If you're not here to order something, I'm going to have to ask you to leave." The room fell silent. The man turned toward her, amusement flashing in his eyes. "Look who we have here, a little waitress playing sheriff." He leaned in closer. "And what if I don't leave? What are you going to do about it?" Luka watched quietly, his expression unreadable. He had seen many kinds of bravery before on the court in competition, but this was something different. This was quiet, everyday courage. Anna didn't back down. Her voice wavered slightly, but remained steady. "I don't care who you are, everyone deserves respect, and if you can't give that, then you need to go." The man's smirk faltered. For a long moment, he just stared at her as if debating whether it was worth it to push further. Then the sound of sirens pierced the air. Outside, one of the customers had called the police. The tension in the room snapped. The leader of the group cursed under his breath. One of the bikers, the more aggressive one, made the mistake of resisting, earning himself a pair of handcuffs. The others received stern warnings before begrudgingly leaving. Anna let out a shaky breath, gripping her serving tray tightly. She had done the right thing, but why did it feel so heavy? Lucas stood up and walked over to her. "That was brave," he said, his voice warm. "Not everyone would have done that." Anna forced a small smile, still shaken. I couldn't stand by you." did more than most would. Lucas said, simply thank you. By the end of the day, the confrontation had become the main topic of conversation. Some customers whispered that Anna had made a mistake, that it would have been better to just let things go. Others admired her courage. But Anna's boss, Mr. Smith, wasn't as understanding. You can't handle things like this, Anna, he said, his voice low with frustration. This is a cafe. People come here to relax, not to see trouble. So you're saying I should have just stayed quiet? Anna asked. I'm saying this isn't your responsibility, Mr. Smith sighed, and we can't afford to lose customers over things like this. The words stung. Anna nodded quietly. I understand. The next morning, as she walked into work, something was different. A sleek luxury car was parked outside. When she stepped inside, the cafe was filled with whispers. Luka Doncic was standing at the counter dressed in a crisp suit, 2 security guards flanking him. Anna's heart pounded. Why is he here? Luka turned toward her, his expression calm but serious. Yesterday, you did something not many people would have the courage to do, he said. You weren't just brave, you stood up for what's right. Anna swallowed hard. I just did what I thought was right. Luka nodded. That's exactly why I'm here. I want to offer you something. I run a foundation that helps people who stand up for others, people who believe in doing the right thing. I think you'd be perfect for it. The cafe fell silent. Anna stared at him, her thoughts spinning. She had never imagined that standing up for someone, standing up for a stranger, could lead to something like this. Nivea, she struggled for words. I don't know what to say. Lucas smiled. Then don't say anything yet, just think about it. And remember, doing the right thing always matters, even when it's hard. As he turned to leave, the cafe remained hushed. Mr. Smith, the other customers, everyone was seeing her in a different light now. Anna had thought she was just a waitress, but today she realized she was something more. Sometimes all it took was a single act of courage to change everything. The next day, when Anna walked into Cozy Brew, she sensed something was different. The atmosphere in the cafe felt heavier than usual. Some of the regular customers glanced at her hesitantly, while Mr. Smith stood behind the counter, his expression unreadable. She took a deep breath, telling herself to focus on work. But before she could tie her apron, Smith called out, Anna, come here for a moment. She followed him into the small break room behind the cafe, where he was already waiting. He didn't look angry, but there was a weight in his eyes, as if he was wrestling with his own thoughts. Anna stood near the doorway, her hands unconsciously gripping the fabric of her apron. Mr. Smith sighed, rubbing his temples before finally looking at her. Listen, Anna, he began, his voice quieter than usual. I've been thinking a lot about what happened yesterday and about what you did. Anna braced herself, expecting another reprimand. At first, I was frustrated, he admitted. This cafe is my livelihood. I built it from nothing, and when I saw customers leaving, I thought, great, this is bad for business. But then Luka Doncic walked in here today and turned everything upside down. Anna blinked in confusion. Wait, Luka was here again? Smith gave a dry chuckle. Not just here. He came with an offer. Her heart skipped a beat. He wants to help transform Cozy Brew, Smith continued, not just into a cafe, but into something bigger, a place where people, especially those who are struggling, can find support, a meal, or even just someone to talk to. He said the world needs more places where people like you exist. Anna felt her breath catch in her throat. At first I thought he was crazy, Smith admitted, shaking his head, but then I realized he was right. You were right. Yesterday, I was too caught up in worrying about losing customers to see that you did something important, something that actually mattered. Anna stared at him, unable to speak. Smith sighed again, this time looking almost tired. So here's the deal, Anna. I want you to stay, but not just as a waitress. She frowned. What do you mean? Dukas offered to fund this transformation, and he suggested that if anyone should be in charge of this new vision, it should be you. Anna's mouth fell open slightly. Me, Smith nodded. You have the heart for it. You saw something that I didn't. I've been running this place for years, thinking I was just here to serve coffee and make a living, but maybe it can be something more. Anna felt overwhelmed. Just yesterday, she thought she was about to lose her job. Now she was being asked to help lead something that could actually change lives. As confirmed, I don't know if I'm the right person for this, she admitted. I'm just a waitress. Smith gave a small, almost sad smile. You're more than that, Anna. You always have been. For the first time in a long while, she felt something stir deep within her, something that felt a lot like purpose. As she walked back out into the cafe, she noticed that some of the customers were looking at her differently, not with irritation, but with respect. A few even gave her small nods, as if silently acknowledging what she had done the day before. And as she tied her apron around her waist, she realized something. Cozy Brew wasn't just going to be a cafe anymore. It was going to be a place where kindness wasn't just a word, it was an action, and she was ready. Like this video and subscribe this channel. Thank you.